After the release of the Chrono Trigger Retrospective, I got a lot of comments asking about the figures I used for section lead-ins. And since they're so wonderfully crafted and rarely ever mentioned, I decided to make a video dedicated to these favorite moments come to life. With delightful art design, unforgettable characters, beautiful animations, an ever-twisting time travel plot, and one of the greatest scores ever composed, Chrono Trigger is almost universally lauded. Countless positive reviews, consistently high ranks in top games lists, not to mention the fact that it's the 20th best-selling Super Nintendo game, all attest to how adored Chrono Trigger really is. Chrono Trigger is one of those games that fans love to love. They know the story, endings, characters, and dialogue inside and out. But for a game this beloved, there really hasn't been much to collect. Besides the game itself and all its forms, ports, regional versions, and homebrew hacks, there are certain standard items that come out with almost every game. A player's guide, magazines with reviews and articles about the game, and sometimes an official soundtrack. But beyond this, there are relatively few Chrono Trigger collectibles, and they're usually expensive. There's the sheet music, posters, Bandai's little keychain character figures, the beautiful set of holographic prism cards, and this little calendar thing. And while there are a few other obscure items, that's pretty much everything. Except, in 2010, 15 years after the launch of the game, Square Enix released a set of collectible PVC figures as part of their beautiful Formation Arts line. They originally came out in Japan in August of 2010 and could be purchased in individual blind boxes for about $10 each. That mystery figure element spurred collectors to buy and often import them in 6-pack cases for $50 to $60, hoping to collect all 5. In October 2010, they released a window box collection in the United States, which included all the figures except for the shining pendant scene with Chrono and Marle, making that figure the rarest of the bunch. It's odd that this one would be excluded, since collectors willing to buy the $40 set would have easily paid another $10 to have all 5, and it's almost unthinkable that a set of Chrono Trigger figures would not include Marle. Yet that's how it played out, and sites like PlayAsia quickly lit up with import orders. By the end of 2010, the prices had already begun to climb, with individual figures fetching $20 a piece and the set of 5 going for around $100. Hopefully this video will document the figures enough that you won't feel the need to own them, though I'm sure that it won't, because buying them now requires forfeiting years of life and a contract signed in blood. These days, the set of 5 tiny figures costs hundreds of dollars. I know what you're thinking, and I agree, it's ridiculous, but there are reasons they are valued so highly. The dioramas remind fans of everything they love about the characters, settings, and story. They're as epic and meticulously detailed as the game they depict, and simply put, there isn't much to collect for the Chrono Trigger fan, especially of this quality. Each figure derives from Akira Toriyama's unforgettable illustrations, as if the dioramas were pulled directly from the page and into the third dimension. Unlike many figures that cut corners or made wildly inaccurate choices that left fans confused, these figures are colored precisely to the individual character artwork we've come to know and love. Square Enix did these right. While many assume this figure is from the scene when Luca first finds and fixes Robo, it's actually from Toriyama's Peaceful Day illustration. If you can't recall the scene from the game, you're not alone. Game designers tucked it away in one of Chrono Trigger's many endings. As for the figure, it's strikingly detailed, with Robo's circuitry, wiring, and rivets exposed, and Luca's purple hair, yellow glove, and tool pouch adding beautiful accent colors to the piece. The paint job is fantastic, with gradual shifts in shade and color on Robo's armor and feet. But what really sells the scene is the textured wood flooring from Luca's house and the translucent plastic used in her glasses. This diorama is taken from the illustration of the dungeon fight in the Magic Cave. And while it would have been great to see the entire scene recreated with the Mad Bats, the Crawly, and Robo 2, it's understandable that they simplified it. That said, the details are still amazing. The staircase winding up, one gremlin looking on in fear as another cowers in a hole. The coloring of the clothing, accessories, and weapons is spot on, and having their feet submerged in the water of the cave floor is an excellent touch. I'm not particularly happy with the positioning of the figure, as there's really no good angle that frames both characters well, but it's still a delightful reminder of those battles in the Magic Cave. In Toriyama's original drawing, Chrono, Robo, and Isla confront a couple of flunkies in town as the inhabitants run for cover. From what I can gather, the idea for triple text hadn't been conceived when this was illustrated, but Robo's spinning fist is vaguely reminiscent of the trio's twister tech, so it definitely seems like an inspiration. As for the figure, Chrono and Isla's expressions are wonderful, and all three characters feel frozen mid-movement, which really adds a sense of pent-up energy to the diorama. Robo's fist swings wildly, Isla's skins flop mid-air, and Chrono holds on for dear life. Including the apples from the artwork helps establish the scene, and once again the detail is amazing, with varying tones on Isla's hair and furry textures and layers of color on her animal skins. All things considered, this figure is my personal favorite. Toriyama's drawing of the confrontation with Magus is brilliant. Chrono looks intense. A bead of sweat rolls down Luca's face, and Frog stands fearlessly ready. Perhaps more than any other, this image embodies the story, characters, and battles of Chrono Trigger, and always makes me want to return to those classic moments from the game. But unfortunately, the diorama is stripped of many of these elements. The setting is well established, with Magus's dragon-topped castle and pieces of a broken statue strewn across the rocky floor, but sadly, Luca and Frog aren't included. Also, in order to make this scene work in all three dimensions, the sense of scale had to be adjusted. Still, Chrono maintains that intensity, and Magus's essence really comes through, with his scythe, magic, and purple hair blowing behind him as the wind howls. One of Toriyama's most endearing illustrations shows Marle admiring her pendant under the starry sky, as Chrono and a trio of beetles look on. This moment wasn't exactly recreated in the game, but the tree is a major clue as to the scene it inspired. To those who've played the game, few scenes compare to when Marle is reunited with Chrono beneath the tree on Death Peak. Once again, the details are beautiful, from the tuft of grass to Chrono's sword leaning against the textured bark of the tree. But the most delightful detail is the translucent canopy of leaves that harkens back to the moonlit glow in the illustration. The expressions on both Chrono and Marle's faces capture the wonder of the characters, and the pendant brings back those magical memories from the game. For the most part, the set of figures is amazing. Positioning isn't always perfect, and some of the most beloved characters are underrepresented. But my biggest frustration is that I want more. I wish they'd been expanded to include all the depth packed in Toriyama's images, and beyond that, I wish figures had been made for his other Chrono Trigger illustrations too. The Epoch with a transparent cockpit and a tiny party inside. The nighttime campfire scene in the forest. Isla riding the dactyls in 65 million BC. And the incredible box art battle scene in the snow. Having these brought into the third dimension with the level of detail exhibited in this set would have been incredible. But what we did get is unquestionably excellent, with intricate sculpting that captures the emotions and essence of the characters, meticulous scene-setting details, and rekindled memories of our beloved adventures through time. These miniature masterpieces, much like the game they portray, are epic.